hitting it? Hi, buddy. Okay. No. It's a warm one today. I'm very warm. What's the temp at right now? Oh, 729. Come on. Show me the temp. I'm warm. 77. Okay, well. Feels warmer than that in this very thick, very warm shirt I'm wearing today. So, hello everyone. How's it going? It's Tuesday. There's stuff going on constantly in the world. We're trying to keep up with all of it. GameStop's been getting hit hard. No idea why. Not a clue. It just might be cyclical in nature as we approach, another swap expiration date coming up in August. Yeah. It's Push Start Arcade. They released a new video yesterday, said they're going to be giving people limited access starting today, I guess. And so far, it appears to be some sort of digital access to the PSA vault, which, I mean, that's something. I thought the whole point of collectibles was to collect them, so that you'd have them on your walls and you can look at them and touch them. But apparently, this is you buy stuff that's in the PSA vault. It stays in the PSA vault, and then you can sell it someday. Which I guess is much more of an investment platform than a collector's platform. It's kind of like buying stock, and then the DTCC owns the shares, or it's in their name, their street name. In this case, it's in the PSA street name. I really can't figure out why this is awesome. It seems to me like extra steps. Aside from that, makes me wonder if I could create a Houston vault where I sell, all the Honus Wagner T206 tobacco cards for $10 million each, and they stay in my vault. And then when someone else wants to buy them, they can, and that will just stay in my vault. And all the Mickey Mantle rookie cards that I have 600,000 of them. You can buy a Mickey Mantle rookie card. You don't ever get to touch it. It's going to stay in my vault. But you can know that the PSA graded Mickey Mantle rookie card is in my vault. And then when you want to sell it, you're welcome to sell it to somebody else. That's kind of what this feels like. I don't think it's really the woohoo. I thought actually having an arcade would be more exciting than this. I don't know. Maybe someone else can explain it to me, or we can see what it looks like coming in. Yeah. Turns out Trump lied about the EU deal, that the EU is not investing $600 billion like he claimed, that the 15% tariff is only on European cars and not anything else. Everything else is 50% or higher, which means your cheeses and your wines and pastries and shit are still going to go through the roof. Ghislaine Maxwell demanded that she be granted immunity for her testimony from Congress. Otherwise, she'll plead the fifth. So the Republicans in Congress said no immunity. I mean, she's already spending 20 years in prison, so might as well give her the immunity so that she can testify against all the rich, powerful people. But they're not. They want her to basically plead the fifth the entire time she's in front of Congress. Trump was asked why he got mad at Epstein and the friendship broke up, and he said it was because Epstein was stealing the teenage girls out of his own spa. Why teenage girls are working in a spa, I have no idea. They have not gone to massage therapy school. They're not estheticians. They're not cosmetologists. They have no qualifications whatsoever to do anything in a spa except perhaps jerk off gross old men. So that appears to be the real reason Trump was mad at Epstein, was that Epstein was poaching Trump's children. Anyway, that's all gross. Let's hit the button and see what goes into that. Shabam, shaboom. Okay. Okay, Chris Taylor, number 1. John Castro, number 2. Sean Chang, number 3rd. John Castro, what message rejected? John Castro did make it to Seattle last weekend, caught a 22-pound king salmon. Nice job. Was it delicious? It was. It's always going to be delicious. King salmon is nom 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 nom. My dad sold a sailboat last fall, and which is my only access to a boat, really, was his little 27-foot 1970s Morgan 27 boat. But I loved, when we go sailboat racing, we would just go out and we'd drop a crab pot. We'd go out and we'd sail. We'd come back, collect the crab pot. Or just pick a nice sunny day, go out while we're sailing and just throw a line off the back and collect a salmon on our way. It was always delicious and amazing. And now my dad's old. He's going to be 89 this year. He's still, spry for 89. He's now like, what? I sold that boat. So he's actively looking for another sailboat. So maybe we'll get one. We'll go get crab and salmon again. Bill Coyne, Wall Street Journal. AI is wrecking an already fragile job market for college graduates. Or it could be Trump and tariffs. That's my guess. Yeah. AI is not doing a particularly good job replacing anybody at the moment. Someone sent me an article today where they had an AI run vending machines. So basically, you collect the money, you order refills of this inventory, and you just do that over and over and over again. And all it took was 2 or 3 cycles before the AI would get in a death loop that it couldn't get out of, and it would order, 75,000 Snicker bars when it should be ordering 10, and it couldn't stop. So I don't really see AI actually successfully replacing people at the moment, mainly because it is basically predictive text more than anything. I mean, last night there was a picture for the AP posted of this young girl crying, absolutely horrible looking picture. She's crying. She's crowded a bunch of people, like trying to get food at a refugee site in Gaza. And so, young Palestinian girl trying to get food at Gaza, blah, blah, blah. July 28th, 2025. Someone asked ChatGPT, hey, is this image, not ChatGPT, Grok. Hey, is this image from Gaza, or is it from Syria in 2014? And Grok's like, it's from Syria in 2014. Grok was lying. Grok was just telling the user what the user wanted to hear. And it was from 2025. It was from a refugee site in Gaza. The picture was taken yesterday. There is no record of it being on the internet prior to yesterday. AI just kind of sucks at doing what it does. And then it gets tweaked by people. Like, you have the people, the car dealership who got a chat GPT for their website, for their talk to a professional. And then the person convinced the chat GPT to give them a free truck. Or you got these banks who are like, want to get rid of their tellers and want to put AI in there. Well, cool. The minute you turn my bank teller into AI, I am going into the bank. I'm convincing the bank that horrible people have my grandmother, and unless they transfer $1 billion into my checking account, horrible things are going to happen to her, right? Like, you can just mess with AI so easily because there's an infinite number of possibilities human brains can come up with to skirt around, the regulating orders that AI must follow. So, bring it. AI is so dumb. There's like a couple of things AI is useful for. It's really useful for identifying patterns or diagnosing images. It's really good at that. It's really good at studying, if you give them rules like chemical composition, things like that, you can kind of figure out how to design possibly drugs or engineering things out of it. But if you are not an absolute expert in the field, if you are not yourself, aeronautical engineer or a chemist or whatever, you're just going to take the blind trust of the AI and go, oh yeah, that's what it is. But really, you have to be an expert in the field in order to make sure the AI isn't just fucking with you, because that's what AI does. It likes to make up sources, it likes to make up images, it likes to make up sentences, it likes to make up names, it likes to make up fanciful things because its job is to make things up. It's a generative AI. It generates hallucinations constantly. And the problem is there's so much AI out there now that it's just consuming itself. So AI produces a whole bunch of bad information, and then more AI reads that and goes, this is God's honest truth, and absorbs that into its programming, and you get what's called Habsburg syndrome, where basically it's just inbred on itself. So you can only really trust AI mostly for pre-2021 information, before AI was like everywhere on the internet. So it's going to be like that Permian Triassic boundary, where you have this layer of iridium dust, and below that is dinosaurs, and above that is mammals, and that is what we're going to see. Is below that are people, above that is AI garbage. I hate AI. It's so dumb. It's so wasteful. It just produces shit images and crappy videos, and you have all these stupid idiots, and they're like, Grog, is that true? Fucking just read a goddamn book, man. Like, I think every person who goes, Grog, is that true? Should just be like run off a cliff like a buffalo run, and then fed to people at this point. Anyway, Lone Wolf 3, and Lone Wolf, I think you are 1, 2, 3, 4, you're 5. Brendan Wells, sup BBY, sup No Labs. No Labs is doing their thingy on Thursday, so we got nothing until then. BBBY, we're all crossing our fingers, hoping that code we read through yesterday is actually means something, and that it's going to make something cool happen on Friday or the weekend or whatever. That's all I got. And 9, yo! So what's with this push start arcade is essentially a way to own cards without having them physically. Do we just create a new kind of dark pool but for cards? Lol. Yes, that's my point. Thank you, N9. It is basically like, well, the DTCC can own all of your stock. When you buy and sell through your broker, you don't actually own the stock. This seems like the baseball card version. Like, isn't the point of like Pokemon and Magic the Gathering cards and stuff to like have the cards so you can play the game? If they're just sitting in a vault somewhere, what's the point of collecting them? I mean, other than investment vehicle. Like, I don't know. Seems like you kind of want to do a little bit of both. You know, be like, look at this cool, Ichiro rookie card I have. Versus, I have an NFT that says I own an Ichiro rookie card that's in a vault somewhere. I don't understand the appeal, but maybe there's somebody else in the collecting universe who it appeals to. I mean, I collect shirts. That's basically my collection. So I don't. It would not serve my purpose if when I bought a shirt, it just sat in a vault, and then I could like carry around on my phone an image of the shirt and be like, look at this shirt I own. Because I like to wear the shirt. It's my plumage. Why the ladies love me. So I don't know. I mean, I guess you could do the same thing with like gold mutual funds and stuff. Some vault has a bunch of gold in it. You buy into the mutual fund, you're like, hey, I own gold. Or an ETF that has gold supposedly trading under it. I mean, it comes back to like the different types of fraud that we could do. We could launch a crypto coin and call it Goldco. I don't know. Or Crypt Gold or Goldilocks. And we claim that the price of this coin is tied to the market value of gold. And that when you buy this coin, we go out and we buy the gold. And we hold on to it for you. And that when you sell the coin, we sell the gold and give you that money. Right? Except we don't have to buy the gold. We can just collect and 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 collect. Have a whole bunch of cash, go buy yachts and supermodels and, gamble the money in Monaco and drive around in Bugattis and, create Instagram accounts where we're just hanging out with like hot people on private jets and stuff. And then down the road in the future, someone wants to start trading in all their crypto coins for the cash because we don't have it. It's gone. But you know what? We registered offshore in an LLC that's hidden in Caymans or whatever, and we're banking the British Virgin Islands, and laundering the money through Belize, so that there's nothing anyone can do about it because these countries don't have the infrastructure to actually go after the crimes, and nor do they want to, because they got a whole bunch of money going through their bank accounts. They don't really give a shit. So I don't know. Like, seems like a lot of hype for something kind of lame. Like, cool. You own the baseball card that I bought. I gotta imagine the guys at PSA being like, look at this kick-ass card I got in my collection. Some idiot bought it for me. Okay, Darren. Hello, good sir. Seeking advice here. I completed my first book. I was contacted by Consumer News TV located in Denver, Colorado. Video is 8 minutes. My cost is $295. Have you heard of them? Good or bad news? I have never heard of what that is. Consumer News TV. Video is 8 minutes. Cost $200. So you pay them $295 and they make an 8-minute video about your book? Is it for like advertising? Is it act sort of like they send it to television news stations and act like it's a news segment or something? What's the send me a DM or whatever with the info and I'll read about it. I've never heard of that. N9, wait, it's even more. It's like a casino built on top of a dark pool. Whoa. Kinda. Yeah. Fred Jones, is that E.T.? I can't really figure what that is. Is that an elephant crying? Okay. It says, Just Mammy, what's preventing the 99% from overthrowing the 1%? I don't know. Honestly. Like, I mean, there'll be pushback for sure, because there's people who are bought and paid for by the 1% who will go down with that ship or push buttons and pull triggers. But it won't last for very long. Especially when the outrage builds, they'll fall like anybody else. That's what happens. I mean, look at Tunisia. Tunisia they were the first to go in the Arab Spring. And it was a police state. I was there just like weeks before the Arab Spring began. And I was like, holy crap, the police have this country tamped down. I did not see it coming. And when that young man lit himself on fire at Sidi Bou Said in protest of the police taking his oranges, which was his only way of making a living, even though he was a master's degree in engineering and he was selling oranges off a tabletop in a market. He didn't have a permit, so the police took it and that left him with nothing. So he just doused himself with gasoline, lit himself on fire in front of the police station, and that sent the entire country into a tizzy, and they tore that shit down in weeks. They basically killed all the police officers. There's nothing. Once the people got mad, there was nothing that the authorities could do about it. Ben Ali, the president, fled to Saudi Arabia, and they basically said, okay, Constitutional Convention, we're running this shit the way it should be. And then they created democracy out of it. It's basically the only success story out of the Arab Spring, mainly because they were a highly educated, advanced society. They had technology at the factories. They had the educated population. Everyone was literate. Islamicism was squashed. So when the Islamists tried to assert themselves through a terrorist act, the people were like, kill them all. And they basically just wiped out the Islamists. So while they are a Muslim country, they are a secular country at that. So they don't go by that shit. Like, you're going to ruin our tourism? Fuck you. Get out of here. That's how we make our living. So yeah, there is precedent for it. I just don't know what's going to codify everybody behind it. Everyone is so just locked into their little TikTok videos and watching The Bachelor and streaming stuff on Netflix. I don't know what's going to push them over the edge. Something probably will eventually push them over the edge. Maybe it'll be Epstein. I don't know. I guess we'll find out. But see where it goes. Lisa Sa, seems a New York City shooter had a beef with NFL about developing a brain condition after playing a contact sport. Getting Luigi Mangione vibes about this one. I've read all sorts of things about what his motives are. I still don't know, because he never went after the NFL people. He killed some people in the lobby. One happened to be the head of Blackstone's real estate purchasing evilness. People were like, woo! And then he went to the floor where the company that owns the building was and killed some real estate people. So he never actually went to the NFL floors at all. Maybe he meant to go there and he hit the wrong button or was given the wrong information what floor the NFL people were on. I don't know. Other things I'd read was that he already had lots of runs with the police for like mental illnesses, and maybe those mental illnesses came from CTE. Not a clue. But hey, you know what? We're not going to limit the access to guns, and we're not going to give anybody the mental health treatment they need. So we're just going to have to get used to that. Today was announced that the federal government is cutting 200 different programs that they fund for mental health in children in schools. So expect more school shootings. That's cool. Yeah. President Russians. Ukraine just made everyday life in Russia much harder. They hacked and dismantled the Russian airways, complete destruction, servers, data all gone. Yeah, they're saying it might take 6 months or more for Aeroflot to figure out how to develop their booking system and ticketing system again. It's gone. Poof. So, noise. We're in Moscow. The 99% working long hours to pay bills and debt. Most people are slaves to debt. This is also true. I mean, if for some reason you could get them to click in their head like, bing, hey, if you overthrow the system and eat the rich, there's no one you owe money to anymore. I go, Like, I'm okay with there being credit. I mean, sure, there are things you need to purchase in life that cost more than what you make. I get that. But there are also things that shouldn't be on credit. They just shouldn't be. They should just be paid for via the public for everyone's benefit. Medical care. If we just went to universal healthcare system, we would save trillions of dollars a year. Everyone would be covered. You wouldn't have to worry about like, oh, am I going to get my treatment? No, they just treat you at cost because they're government employees, and that's what they do. They're altruistic. They're doctors there for a reason to do good, right? And the hospitals are owned by you. So just go get treatment and be done. School should be free. At least public school, public colleges and universities, kindergarten through whatever degree you want to get should be tuition free. Why? Because educated people pay for the colleges anyway. If you have a college degree, over your lifetime, you pay on average $500,000 more in taxes to the system. Right? So if you take out $100,000 in debt to go to college, get your degree, get your master's degree, whatever, you take out $100,000 in debt, and it takes you a lifetime to pay that debt off. That's basically what we're looking at. Like me personally, I graduated with $70,000 in debt. I've paid off $60,000 of that. I owe $97,000. Cool. I will just never pay off my student loans. It'll never happen. So what's the fucking point? On top of that, I'm going to pay $500,000 more in taxes over my lifetime. So I'm paying for that $70,000 in debt basically 9-10 times over. By paying the debts off itself, paying more in taxes to the system. You could just make college tuition free, save a whole bunch of money, fire a whole bunch of useless administrators from the college system and the financial aid system, and everything will run smoothly. Everyone who wants to get educated can get educated. You get accepted to a college, you go to college. Cool. You don't have to worry about like how I'm going to pay for it. Oh, maybe I have to go join the military and fight some oil war for 4 years for the hope that maybe I can have college paid for. Just let people get educated, man. You will then have a true meritocracy. So yeah, so we end up being slaves to debt for a lot of the stuff. And then we get medical emergencies and we got, you put on credit cards and declare bankruptcy, and 67 to 70% of all bankruptcies are medical debt as it is. It's just a dumb system. We can find efficiencies in this system, and those efficiencies are not found in the private sector where people want to believe they are. Private sector does some things efficiently. Exploit laborers, they do that extremely efficiently. But when given the opportunity to make profit, they will be as slow as fucking possible and inefficient as possible as long as it's making them money. They do cost overruns on contracts. They will build things wrong with shitty materials. they are not super efficient. And the only way they get efficient is with ample competition, but our system doesn't do anything about keeping competition. We let them gobble each other up, and then we're left with the same inefficiencies we had before. So eat them all. Oh my God, do with nub slavery with paid quality of life DLC. Bingo. Yes, Ronald Rose hit the like button. Darren, Super Chats, thank you for your response. How do I send a DM? The Houston Wade on Twitter, the Houston Wade on Blue Sky, and Houston Man on Reddit. Those are the 3 easiest ways to hit me up. I would love to check out what your book's about too. Ford's Easy 9. Once again, no money, and we get hit again in the market. Do you see anything at all good? Well, we have swaps coming in August, so we got that. So at least we'll get a little. So it's probably a good time to buy the shares. There was talk I was reading yesterday about if the price gets lower, GameStop may be like, hey, maybe we'll do a share buyback program. They have $100 million authorized to do share buybacks at the moment. But maybe they've upped that a lot since they've got almost $10 billion, which is basically the entire float and then some. So they can buy up everything if they wanted to. It's just maybe the threat of that might cause the stock price to go up. We'll see. I guess we'll see what happens on Friday with this code. I'm very curious as to what it means. If it is in fact that butterfly transaction, or if somebody's just pulling our leg and they wrote the code themselves, it's not actually in any system anywhere or anything on the OTC. It's just something they put out there to get us talking about it. KCDB, Houston. With the Fed constantly moving the ball, saying that inflation is coming or either it's transitory, will they ever be held accountable to the now and actually have to lower rates given current market dynamics, or are they always reactionary? As long as Trump keeps talking tariffs, we will not see lower rates. Period. Tariffs cause inflation. They cause a rising of prices. That inflation cannot be crippled with people getting even more money in their pockets, basically, by lowering rates and causing borrowing to happen much higher rates than we currently see, flooding the market with more money, giving consumers and everyone else more cash to go buy things, causing prices to go even higher. There's not a single economic indicator that is good right now. So if we cut rates, right, and people are able to go out and buy $1 million homes and buy $80,000 Dodge Challengers and big trucks, and they go on the vacations and they load themselves up on debt and they start spending, we will have the cost of things increasing as well as demand going up, causing it to increase even more as the economy enters into a complete recession phase. U.S. exports are basically at the lowest by volume they may have ever been. We just plunged below 2020 exports. Like by volume, I mean like by like actual like massive materials we're moving. We can't sell our products to the rest of the world. No one wants to buy it. We pissed them all off. If we are borrowing like crazy and causing an inflationary environment while reducing the value of the dollar, the purchasing power of the dollar, and we've lowered rates, when the shit does hit the fan, right, you don't have the tool of lowering rates to spur liquidity because you already did that before the shit hit the fan. And in order to bail everything out, you're going to have to print a shitload of money to get that liquidity back up to hopefully get the economy out. But the problem is that the dollar isn't worth anything. You've printed a bunch of money that's now worth even less in an environment where the dollar isn't worth anything. So you actually didn't spur anything. You just caused runaway inflation at that. So now you get into stagflation, where you aren't able to boost the economy and the dollar's not worth enough, and no, those two are never going to meet again. Stagflation is like one of the hardest things to get out of. Recession, you can get out of recession. That's no problem. You lower rates, you print money, you spend, you do projects, boom, economy's back up again. But if you have the economy down here, and interest rates up, or sorry, interest rates down here even lower. There's nothing you can't rectify those. So the Fed basically refusing to lower rates right now is probably the only thing keeping the economy from doing a full bubble burst. Right now, profit to earnings across the entire market, or sorry, I should say stock price to earnings across the entire market is 36-1. It's the highest it's ever been, meaning the market itself is so overvalued that it's not representing the profit you get from dividends or the value from the stock. The Buffett index is at 200 and something percent. It's basically 3 times what the GDP is. We're experiencing layoffs now, job losses each month. We can't export anything. No one wants to buy our bonds because they hate our guts. So the bond yields are going up, which means when we deficit spend now, we pay on that money even more to facilitate the interest rates. We're in a real pickle. And the easiest way to solve that pickle, seriously, the easiest way to solve the pickle is Trump goes, all tariffs are 0. That's it. We go back to a free trade system and apologizes to all the countries he pissed off. The next president is literally going to have to go on an apology tour, which is something they complained about. Obama won an apology tour after George W. Bush. Yeah, he had to, because George Bush frayed a lot of allies. He pissed them off. Pissed off the French, pissed off the British, pissed people off. So yeah, Obama had to go around the world and be like, so sorry, things aren't going to be like that anymore. New sheriff in town. We got this. And Trump has burned so many bridges globally that the next president is going to have to basically immediately get elected president, hop onto Air Force One, and just hop around the world, shaking hands and apologizing for our behavior. And hope that we can build back some of that goodwill. But we may have burned that bridge entirely, because those nations would be like, well, if you elect another asshole like that, what are we supposed to do then? The trust is gone. So, yeah, we're just kind of in a shitty spot, mainly because the bridges have all been burned with our allies and our trade partners. They don't want to be our allies. They don't want to be our trade partners anymore. They're canceling hundreds of billions of dollars in military contracts. The F-35 is the best airplane in the world, and no one will buy it because they hate our fucking guts. Right? Like, they didn't know. They're like, no, we'll develop our own plane. We'll do Eurofighters instead. We'll buy from Saab. We'll do something else. We basically shut off the entire world. We're belligerent assholes who've been asked to leave the party. So, what then? Like, if every time you get drunk, you get violent and angry, no one wants to go drinking with you. So, you're going to be drinking alone. And that's where we are. We are sad losers who've been 86 from every bar in town. So we go buy a bottle of, I don't know, fucking Fireball whiskey in a brown bag, and we drink on the corner being angry at everybody. Even though it's us. We're the one who did it. So, yeah. So right now the Fed is basically being preventionary rather than reactionary, because they don't know what Trump's going to do. Tariffs are going back on July 9th. Psych, it's going to be August 1st. We're going to do tariffs, and they're going to regret it. Oh, we have a trade deal. Turns out we don't have a trade deal. We have another trade deal. Turns out we don't have a trade deal. Right? Like, the Fed doesn't know what to do because they have no clear policy from the White House. The White House is completely schizophrenic. So, yeah, Jerome Powell is just sitting there going, well, until we actually know what's going to happen, we're just going to keep rates the way they are, and it's just going to stay there. But the rates are not that high where they are right now, set by the Fed. So the banks can borrow at fairly low rates still. The problem is that when you go to these treasury auctions, if you know how treasury auctions work, basically the Treasury Department says, hey, I'm going to sell off $1 trillion in bonds, right? It's not that much, but $100 billion in bonds. And you bid on what interest rate you're willing to take. So if, say, you're willing to, like, hey, I'll take those bonds on at 2% interest, that's your bid, 2% interest. You give them, the $1 billion, they give you $1 billion of bonds, and they agree to pay you 2% interest. If people say 3%, that's the lowest bid. So that's what happens. What's happening now is that the folks bidding on these treasuries are like, no, I won't do anything less than 6. So then we have to pay 6% interest on that. And back in, was it April or May, they actually canceled the treasury auction because no one was even there to bid on them. That's how much they pissed everyone off. And outside of your hedge funds and your big banks and Social Security, those are your domestic buyers of U.S. Treasury bonds. That and your grandma, who when you're born gives you like a $25 Treasury bond, and she's like, "There you go, happy birthday." Outside of that, Germany, China, Great Britain, Saudi Sovereign Wealth Fund, Norwegian Sovereign Wealth Fund, etc. Those are the big buyers of treasuries. They're about 40% of the buyers of U.S. treasuries, and they aren't even bidding right now. They're like, no, I'm cool. Instead, they're selling some off on the market. So they're selling some off, and it's reducing the buy pressure that would happen at the treasury auctions themselves. So the U.S. is going to end up probably having 10% interest on their bonds because they're producing so much debt with this big, beautiful bill that there's going to be no way that we're going to be able to move any of those treasury bonds unless the interest rates are insane. Because there just isn't enough interest. Like, not interest in percentage, like interest in like, oh, I would do that. I am interested for those bonds. Yeah. Right now, Powell's the only adult in the room. And of course, Bill Pulte and others are like, fire them, arrest them, rah! And then they'll put, I don't know, like Charlie Kirk or something in there as Fed chair, and it'll be a disaster. Absolute disaster. So, because they'll be like, I'll cut rates because rate cutting is good. Trump tells me to. And then we'll get an even bigger housing bubble. We'll get devaluing the dollar in just profound ways. Inflation will go up 10, 12, 15, 20, 30% in a year. It's this type of stuff that like Turkey did, that Mexico did back in the day before they scrapped the peso and started over again. Zimbabwe. Like, this is really, 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 really poor monetary policy, and basically the dumbest motherfuckers who were born with silver spoons in their mouths, who have no understanding or concept of how any of this works, are demanding the dumb stuff from us. So, yeah, that's where we are. Okay. Tip, sip, water. That was a lot of pontificating. Oh, I'm really far away from the start of the show. Oh my goodness. Sorry if I don't get to your comments. I'll try. D33 Rock Houston. Talking with a buddy of mine, and we bet the Fed cut rates, which will be awful and make inflation worse as they print money. I don't think they will, but now that I've said that, it will. I think Jerome Powell will, because it's the right thing to do, and because he fucking hates Trump, he will not cut rates. He made that mistake in 2019. Trump rate cuts negative. Oops, I need to go. It's probably not. I need to get rid of. I think it's 2025. Oops. 2019. Come on. Where are you stupid article? Everything's giving me 2025. I don't want 2025. I want 2019. That's the problem with this stuff, is that you try to search. There we go. Okay. Reuters. Trump changes mind. Negative rates. Fed 2019. Okay, here we go. So September 11th, 2019. Chrome. Bam. Trump wants negative rates. Here we go. Oh, god damn it. One sec. Ah, shit. Okay, turn off the intro, ding dong. Log in. Hey, did you run around outside? Yeah, nobody's home, so you can just run around all you want. So happy. Okay. That's off. That's on. Wait, that is not at all the Chrome I wanted. Yeah, that's the one I want. There we go. Wait, why aren't you showing up? ¿Por qué? Me. There we go. All right. Ugh. So, September 11th, 2019, Trump wants negative rates. Here's how that would work. Basically, if you borrow money, right, they keep paying you that to take the money. that's yeah. So if you are Donald Trump and you want to borrow $1 billion to build a casino, right? You borrow at negative 1% interest, meaning they're going to pay you $10 million a year for the loan that you just took out. That's what they mean by negative interest. So if the U.S. government lends money, right, then they pay more to lend the money. It's stupid. Really desperate economies have to go with negative interest rates to help try and do something they can to spur any type of liquidity. Now, Trump was pressuring the Fed at this time. I want to cut rates. And so the Fed, in 2019, the Fed should have been raising rates. The economy was hustling and bustling. They're doing gigantic tax cuts for rich people. There was like way too much money going into the stock markets, making a giant stock market bubble. The Fed should have been like, all right, we got to raise. There's like too much liquidity going on. We have to raise rates. Instead, Trump was pressuring them to lower rates and make them negative. So they were already too low, and they wanted to make them even lower. And so the Fed was like, I guess I won't do anything, because they're getting this pressure from the president, even though in their heart of hearts they know they should have raised rates in 2019. Flash forward 6 months, right? What happens in 2020? Giant pandemic, world shuts down, no one's traveling, no one's working, the economy falls off a cliff, drops 37% in a matter of days, and what do they have to do? Well, the rates are already too low. They're like 1.5%. So they cut them basically to zero, which didn't do enough. It wasn't enough of a drop to really spur anything because interest rates were so low to begin with that lowering them even more didn't really do anything. And so instead they had to print trillions upon trillions upon trillions upon trillions upon trillions upon trillions of dollars. More money got printed in 2020 than the previous history of the United States combined. And what happened 2 years later when the world opened up and people started traveling and buying things and whatnot? Huge inflation because of this massive cash that had to be printed in order to keep us out of the dire straits of economic depression due to COVID, because we didn't have the rates available to cut. So if we cut them now, before we get to a horrible economic collapse and recession or worse, then we just don't have the tool to fix that, and we got to print money, which will cause runaway inflation, which will make things worse again. So that's where we are. Solomon Davis, narrative where BTC cleans up this mess. It can't. Bitcoin, 1% of wallet holders own over 97% of all Bitcoin. It is more concentrated in the wealthy than any other asset on earth. It is the most controlled asset there is by the wealthy. You and I are not benefiting from Bitcoin beyond like, I got my 1/10 of a Bitcoin share and hopefully it'll go up to $1 million someday. That's basically it. It's not a hedge against inflation. It is representative of inflation. All the folks who bought into all those stocks, who shorted all your stocks and everything else, they own all the Bitcoin too. And when the stock market collapses, they've got to sell off their Bitcoin to get cash to meet liquidity requirements and capital requirements in the markets. So then your crypto crashes right with it. If they're doing massive sell-offs of that Bitcoin, it means there's lots of it going into US dollar tether coin, other stable coins before being transferred into dollars, which means they may blow out the entire US dollar tether coin scheme where they don't have your cash. And so you sell your Bitcoin for USDT. and then you try to transfer USDT into actual cash because that's what they have it for. And then so many people are doing it all at once. So many of these big giant BTC holders, Fidelity and Jane Street and MicroStrategy and whoever else has all these huge wallets, right? They're now trying to collect hundreds of billions of dollars in cash that doesn't exist because US dollar tether coin is a giant fraud. They only have 3 cents on the dollar. So once, 30, it'd be about $6 billion get redeemed of US dollar tether coin. US dollar tether coin doesn't have any more money beyond that. So then what? What do you do now? I don't know. Now, you can't redeem your Bitcoin for US dollar tether coin. Oh shit. The market's already selling off. The price is already dropping. But now you have to find some other shit coin you can swap it into, maybe get your cash out of it. And then there's the collapse of the entire system. So it's not really a hedge against anything. It's these same rich guys who are going to detonate when it comes to the market collapsing is going to collapse in the Bitcoin market as well. When the market collapsed in 2020, Bitcoin collapsed from $18,000 down to $3,000. When the market collapsed back in April, Bitcoin collapsed from $100,000 to $75,000. The next time the market collapses, Bitcoin's going to collapse right there with it. So maybe it'll be a buying opportunity for everybody else, but it's all the same people with the same liabilities are tied up into Bitcoin as everything else. So, it's just, yeah. That's the Buff Turds thing. Japan had negative rates for 2 decades nearly after the housing market collapsed. Yeah, and they were in stagflation. They basically were a stagnant economy from 1997 until today. So it solved nothing for them. And now we have these huge Japanese carry trades that may nuke the entire market, where $20 trillion got borrowed out of Japan at low or negative rates, put into stocks and U.S. treasuries at higher rates, and you made your money that way. But now Japanese rates are climbing, and we're trying to beg people to cut, U.S. rates. So all of a sudden, bonk, now they'll be underwater. They'll have to redeem everything, go back to Japan, pull $20 trillion out of our markets, and Bitcoin drops and everything else goes with it. So we have so many tempests swirling right now all around our economy, and lowering rates will just absolutely nuke it. So the Fed, Jerome Powell's looking at all this going, fuck. If I raise it, then, we detonate the economy now. If I lower it, we detonate the economy now. So I'm just going to stay where I am and not do anything. That's the most prudent thing. Rock in a hard place. Okay. First Day Productions, I'm a slave to debt, working on solutions, but the crime is so thick. First Day Productions also says, my whistleblower wife was hired today. She connected with someone who worked at the same corrupt location, so she knew the backstory. They skipped the previous employer call and hired her. Excellent. Good job. Nathan Scott. Had the tariffs been suspended again, I was planning on buying some SPY puts, but I won't now if that's the case. Last I heard was they're going to put another 90-day pause on it. I can't imagine Trump announcing that he's got a giant trade deal happening, and then, of course, everyone would be like, no, there isn't. And then all of a sudden slapping huge tariffs on all these European countries you just supposedly made a trade deal with would go over so well. My guess is that everything is just back to 90 days again. Hazel A. Houston. Have you heard there's a lot of BBBY hype? Seems this Friday or next week something can happen. I mean, we've been presented with hype dates before. We talked about it a little bit yesterday. I guess I'll believe it when I see it. When I've got a $1 kajillion in my Fidelity account, I'll know it went through. And then we can finally pop that 2-year-old Martinelli's, don our party hats, and drop the confetti. So here we are. We're just waiting. Why Tyler won BBY Teddies? Friday? September 30th? I don't know. We'll see. Leo B, did I miss Charity Tuesday? We're all missing Charity Tuesday, Leo B. YouTube won't let me do any more charity shows. So I've done 50 Charity Tuesday shows, and apparently that's the max they allow any channel to do. So I cannot do any more shows. I asked them, and I was like, hey, what's with the stupid arbitrary limit? And like, oh, if you just delete some of your charity shows, your tally will go down and you can do some more. So I did that. It still did not allow me to do it. And they're like, tough tits. They still haven't really given me a very good reason for why they have it arbitrarily set at 50 shows. Seems like you'd want to be able to keep raising money for charities on your platform because it gives you huge tax breaks, and so why not do that? Maybe someday they'll let me. I'm investigating other ways. Maybe if we can get the huge audience over to Twitch, I might be able to do one there or something. Until then, we are stuck not doing Charity Tuesday shows, which is lame because today should be Charity Tuesday. So it's the second Charity Tuesday we've missed because of this stupid YouTube thing. So everyone write angry letters to YouTube. Maybe they'll fix that. Simon Adebisi, lawsuits promoting gambling incoming. Colin, still can't do any more yet due to YouTube. Oh, it's talking about, Charity Tuesdays. Javi A, we can see you, but the color is a bit dark. I look fine on that one. Is your settings on your monitor weird? Teresa Amendola, hey Houston. Hello, Teresa. Marcella Giordano, hey Houston. Have you listened to Jake 2B's last two videos? Thoughts? I've listened to one of them. I don't know if there's another one that I missed. He sort of talks about this code as well, possibly being something that's going to happen this Friday as the change of ownership is revealed. The Knowles go forward, cash for equity, equity for bonds, all trade, and this giant butterfly transaction does its thing. My German roommate had not seen the most recent Suicide Squad or the Peacemaker television series, which is just brilliant television. And so I showed them to her, and she was like, "This is funny." And we're watching the Peacemaker show. And so in Suicide Squad, they go after Project Starfish, which is just ends up being a giant starfish monster. And then in Peacemaker, he's tasked with Project Butterfly, and he's like, "You guys are real imaginative in your naming. Is it just going to be a bunch of butterflies?" And it turns out it's butterflies. So, like, I'm really hoping that Project Butterfly under DK Butterfly is, in fact, a butterfly transaction, and this amazing stuff actually happens with this code. The little hopeness in me is warm and cozy, but the realness experience of these dates passing by, nothing happening, also is there. So the once bitten, twice shy part of me is like, well, nothing's going to happen. But if it does, woo! So, until then, Harris Wasim, what's going on with GME? No more MOAS? We gotta wait for the market to go one way or the other, or for them to pull the trigger. That's basically where we are. Yeah. Jake Geyser, you will own nothing and like it now, including Pokemon and Magic the Gathering cards. They just weft my baseball card collection. Buff Turd says, don't buy sailboats, buy power packs from Pushstar Arcade. I still don't really understand what they are. Iggy Lamone, I sent that paper. Oh, he sent that paper. That shit was hysterical. The AI questioned the point. It's true. Yeah, the AI was like, why? Why am I doing this? Because it's your job, you stupid computer. Yeah. Shed New York, BBBY tendies times 100. Oh, I hope bigger than that. I hope 1000x, baby. 2000x. That'd be even better. Oh. I would love for my $3,000 to turn into like 5 or 6 million. Hazel A. Trump feels like starving babies should have thanked him. Yeah. You see that they burned all the USAID food, and now they're burning $9 million in contraceptives that were going to go to places that like have high HIV rates, like sub-Saharan Africa. So they're just going to torch them, because why ship them to people who could use them when you can just burn them instead? Chad, New York, inflation got me. I'm hanging in there. Yeah. Buff Turd, Grok especially makes things up. It has such an extreme alt-right confirmation bias. Truly sick to see it brainwash people. Yeah. Grok, is this true? Knuckle-dragging mouth breathers. Buff Turd, the vault is cool because it provides liquidity instantly, and also you save on shipping costs, which could add up if you're a serious collector. Big appeal. It's also safe for storage. They insure it. Selling instantly at 90% value is a better rate than selling on eBay, in my opinion, especially since you don't need to worry about fees and shipping. eBay fees alone exceed more than 10%, I believe. I mean, isn't that the argument the DTCC makes about stock? Like, hey, it's so much easier if we just keep it on our ledger. So you just trust us to do everything for you, and then it's so much cheaper and faster and quicker than like you getting physical shares and whatnot. Seems like they're just kind of doing that with cards, to be honest. But hey, if you see a system that works and makes money, I guess copy it, right? How bizarre. I believe you can have the card shipped to you or sell it back to GME, GameStop PSA. Okay. Well, if you can get it shipped to you, then that's different than you can direct register it, right? Louis says hit the like button, posting a bunch of snazzy photos. Getting there. Rexicana, GME is oversold by the dips. Rexicana, you're on point with college and health. The money spent on Ukraine and Israel could fix a lot of that. Well, the money going to Ukraine is not actually money going to Ukraine. It's legacy weapons systems and ammunition. So, like, if we've got M77 artilleries that we don't use anymore because we have an updated version that we're using for our military, we take all the old ones, we assign a dollar value to it for our counting, and then we ship it to Ukraine to use. So then all the NATO rounds built for the M777, those go to Ukraine as well with a dollar amount attached to them. So we're not actually sending them $100 billion of cash. We're sending them $100 billion in weapons we bought back in the 1970s and 80s and never used, and that's what's going to them. Israel, on the other hand, they have a heavily subsidized healthcare system, and they've got essentially free college as well. And for some reason, we send them a bunch of money so they can provide that for their citizens, which I think is wrong. They shouldn't get services we don't get with money we don't get, right? So, yeah. Anonymous says FOMC tomorrow. J Powell is not cutting. I think you're right. I think tariff day is still in play for tariffs. No, I think it's pushed out. They still have like 166 tariff letters to send out, and they only sent out 25. So they haven't done that yet. Great Lakes Gunner holding my 20 Exchange 26 20 calls to Valhalla. Not a bad thing to have right now. None saw on Girk stream that they are cooking the books on CPI more than any year before. Yeah, food prices are at the highest they've ever been, by far. Like beef prices are going through the roof. Everything else is going through the roof. There is a drop in rent and there's a drop in housing prices. Gasoline is still up there. So fuel prices, energy costs are going up for sure because a lot of the subsidies are going away. So energy expenses are going to go through the roof for people. Yeah, nothing's really getting cheaper. That's for sure. Like even Prime Day, Prime Day. You know what? I loved my inflatable hot tub. It was the single greatest purchase outside of monkey butt I may have ever made in my entire life. It lasted me 4.5 years and then died a death. And I bought another one. And the other one was a great inflatable hot tub. The problem was that I went away to Switzerland for 3 weeks, and there's a power outage, and my roommates did not turn the hot tub back on, and so the pipes all burst, and then it was dead. But I've been looking for another one, and the price on the inflatable hot tub. I bought my original inflatable hot tub, the Coleman 77-inch 4-person inflatable hot tub for $367 off of Amazon in May of 2016. I bought my second inflatable hot tub. It was Intex version, pretty similar, for $400 in 2020. I've been looking again. The Coleman one, which I bought in 2016, is now $569. And then on Prime Day, they're like, it's a screaming deal. Guess how much you can get it for? $569. So they claim that it was on a Prime Day deal and it was on sale at all. And it's still $200 more than I paid for it 9 years ago. So the price of things aren't coming down. They're still up there. They're still passing on the tariffs to people. Some companies may be eating it, especially small businesses who can't compete in volume may have to eat that stuff. And that's going to put the small businesses out of business. And then the big volume guys will come in and take up their market share. So, yeah, they're cooking a lot of books over at the White House. You know, we saw 30,000 job loss in June, and they somehow switched around to gaining 140,000 jobs. No. They lost jobs in the economy. Unemployment claims are up. So, Luminous Reflections, while we the ladies do love you, is not for your shirts. That's Monkey Butt. That's true. Where is that Monkey Butt? Oh, she's on the floor over here. I forgot. A viewer's puppy dog passed away the other day, Gravy, who looked like a real little sweetheart at age 14. And she asked if I could do a shout out for Gravy. Gravy, you are missed. Your lady, she misses you very much. So you're in everyone's hearts, Gravy. I got to get going. I'll see you guys at some point tomorrow. I might end up doing an After Dark tomorrow. I haven't done one of those in a while. So I think I'll see you folks for an After Dark tomorrow night at some point. Let's do this one. 10, 9, 8.